Welcome to the deep dive. If you're thinking about how to stay in your own home as you get older, what we call aging in place, well, you're in the right place. We've gathered some great sources to help you get informed fast.
Exactly. We've dug into material from seniorliving.org, the National Council on Aging, that's NCOA, the National Institute on Aging, or NIA, aginginplace.org, the National Aging in Place Council, NAIPC, and AARP2.
Quite a list.
It is. And what really jumps out is just the range of perspectives,
Mm.
everything from very practical advice on home mods to finding support networks.
Okay, so let's dive in then. Our goal today really is to pull out the key insights, the actionable stuff from all these sources.
Right. We want to give listeners a clear picture of what to consider and what help is actually out there.
And it seems like a lot of people are considering it. Aginginplace.org mentions something like 77% of older adults want to stay in their homes long term.
That's the number. Yeah. A huge
Wow.
majority. But, and this is the interesting part, about a third of those folks, people over 50, they recognize that their homes probably need some work to make that happen.
Okay, so there's the desire and then there's the reality of making the home suitable. Let's maybe start with the basics. What does aging in place actually mean?
Well, in simple terms, it's wanting to live in your own home and community safely, independently, and comfortably, regardless of age, income, or ability level.
Mm,
Both the NCOA and NIA really focus on that core idea of staying put as long as possible.
right.
But aginginplace.org makes a really good point. It's definitely not a one-size-fits-all thing. How it looks for one person can be very different for another. Depends on your health, your home's layout, finances, the support you have around you.
That makes sense. Very individual. So why is it such a strong preference for so many people? What are the big benefits our sources point to?
Well, the NCOA really highlights things like independence, obviously. Maintaining that control over your own life.
Sure.
And security, feeling safe and comfortable in familiar surroundings. They also suggest that being able to age in place is often linked to better health and good financial wellness, which kind of supports the whole idea and might even contribute to living longer.
So it's about quality of life, really. Familiarity, control.
Exactly. Preserving that comfort and control in a place that holds meaning.
Okay, so if someone listening is thinking, yes, this is what I want, what's the recommended first step? Where do you start?
AIRP suggests something quite practical. Just look around your home,
Uh,
but do it with an eye on the future.
Not just how it works today.
Right. You need to shift perspective a bit. Think about how it might need to function 5, 10, 15 years down the road. The NCOA echoes this. Really assess if your home meets your current needs for safety and accessibility, but also, crucially, can it adapt to your future needs?
Okay. A future-focused assessment. So when you do that walkthrough, what specific things should people be looking for? AARP and aginginplace.org had checklists, right? Maybe we start with the bathroom. Seems like a key area.
Oh, absolutely critical. Falls are a huge concern. So the advice gets very specific there. Things like walk-in showers, getting rid of that bathtub lip you have to step over.
Yeah, that can be tricky.
Definitely. And adding things like shower chairs or benches, maybe handheld shower nozzle for flexibility, and grab bars, of course. Those are essential, both in the shower and near the toilet.
Right, for stability. And it's not just the big stuff, is it? I think AARP mentioned smaller things too.
Yes, exactly. Like replacing glass shower doors with non-shattering ones.
Yeah.
Simple safety upgrade. And using slip-resistant strips on the shower floor instead of bath mats.
Oh, interesting. Why not bath mats?
Well, they can actually bunch up or slide, becoming a trip hazard themselves. Strips or textured surfaces are safer. They also mention things like taller toilets or toilet seat risers, which makes sitting down and standing up easier,
Okay.
and lever-style faucets instead of knobs. Much easier to use if you have arthritis or reduced hand strength.
Makes sense. Okay, moving out of the bathroom. What about the bedroom?
Well, one big consideration, especially if stairs become difficult, is potentially moving the bedroom downstairs. AARP mentions this as an option.
Ah, yeah, single floor living.
Exactly. And simpler things too, like using bed risers to make the bed height more accessible, or even considering an adjustable bed for comfort and support.
And the kitchen, another busy, potentially hazardous area.
Definitely. Safety features on stoves are important, maybe an automatic shutoff. Thinking about where appliances are located, can you reach everything easily?
Good point. Reaching up high or bending down low gets harder.
Right. And simple things like refrigerator handles that are easy to grip. For cabinets, slide-out drawers or trays can be a game changer. No more reaching into the back of deep shelves.
Okay, so we've covered some key rooms. What about general furniture and home layout?
Decluttering comes up a lot, especially from AARP. Less clutter means clearer pathways. That's vital if you might need a walker or wheelchair later on.
Get rid of the obstacles.
Precisely. And choosing chairs with sturdy armrests. They give you something to push up from when you stand. Lift chairs, the motorized recliners are also an option for extra help.
Ah, yes, those can be very helpful.
And a basic safety tip.
Yeah.
Keep electrical cords tucked away out of walkways. And definitely never run them under rugs. Big fire hazard.
Good reminder. Okay, lighting. How important is that?
Hugely important. Easy to use light switches, maybe rocker panels instead of toggles, at room entrances, and just having ample light both indoors and out.
Not just the main rooms.
Think about basements, attics, closets too, any potentially dim area. Night lights are great, especially for hallways and bathrooms, for navigating at night. And smart lighting, voice-activated stuff can be super convenient.
That's becoming more accessible now. What about what's underfoot? Flooring, rugs, potential trip hazards there.
Yes, AARP suggests non-shag carpeting might be better than hard floors like tile, as it offers a bit of cushion if a fall does happen.
Yep.
But the carpet pile needs to be short enough for walkers or wheelchairs to move easily. Scatter rugs are generally a no-no. Major trip hazard. If you have area rugs, make sure they're really securely anchored down. Double-sided tape, non-slip backing, whatever it takes.
Right. Eliminate those slippery small rugs. What about getting around the house itself? Doorways, stairs.
Good points. For doors, swapping doorknobs for lever handles is a really easy fix that helps a lot if hand strength is an issue.
Like we mentioned for faucets.
Exactly. Sometimes widening doorways might be necessary for accessibility aids. You can also use special hinges called swing clear hinges to get a little extra width without major renovation.
Interesting. And stairs. Always a concern.
Absolutely. Sortie handrails on both sides are crucial. Good lighting on the stairs is non-negotiable. Carpeting can help with grip. Some people put brightly colored tape on the edge of each step for better visibility.
Oh, that's a clever idea.
Especially helpful if vision is declining. And of course, if stairs become a major barrier, stair lifts are an option to investigate.
Okay. Now, what about getting into the house and the yard? Sometimes we focus too much on the inside.
Very true. Ideally, you want at least one entrance to the home that has no steps, a zero-step entry.
Makes sense for wheelchairs or walkers.
Exactly. And a covered entryway is nice, keeps you out of the rain or snow while fumbling for keys. A bench near the door is a small thing, but really helpful for sitting down to take off boots or shoes.
Yeah, I can see that.
Keeping pathways clear is essential outside too. If you do have steps, make sure they're well maintained, no cracks or loose bricks. Ramps are an option if needed. And even in the yard, things like raised garden beds reduce bending. Stable outdoor seating is good too, and automatic outdoor lighting adds safety and security.
Wow, okay. That's a really thorough list of potential modifications. It could sound a bit overwhelming, maybe.
It could, absolutely. But
Yeah.
the key takeaway really is that you don't need to do everything all at once.
Right.
The NIA emphasizes that, yes, aging in place takes planning. But AARP has some great advice. Start small. Focus on the rooms you use most, or tackle the things that are already causing minor issues.
Like that wobbly handrail you keep meaning to fix.
Exactly. And Lakeland Hogan, a gerontologist AARP, quotes, suggests taking maybe one step each year. Focus on lighting improvements one year, maybe grab bars the next.
That sounds much more manageable, an incremental approach.
It really is. Breaking it down makes it less daunting and more achievable over time.
Okay, that's a great perspective. We've covered a lot about the physical home environment, but what about the financial side of things? NCOA mentioned that, right?
Yes, they did. And it's a really important piece of the puzzle. Staying home isn't always free. There can be costs for modifications or maybe for in-home support services down the line.
So you need to factor that into the planning.
Absolutely. NCOA points out that sometimes people need to look at options like tapping into home equity. They specifically recommend looking for resources that explain the financial options for aging in place. It's a critical part of making it sustainable.
Got it. So we've talked about assessing the home, making changes, planning. Where can people go for more help, more details, more support? It sounds like there are quite a few organizations dedicated to this.
There really are. SeniorLiving.org, for example, offers a really wide range of resources, not just housing, but financial planning info, estate planning, even discounts, medical alert systems, hearing aids.
So pretty broad.
Very broad. They even have consultants who can help if you are exploring senior living communities as an alternative or future option.
Okay. And the NCOA, the National Council on Aging, we mentioned them a few times.
Yes, they're a fantastic resource. They provide tools and information aimed squarely at improving quality of life and helping older adults manage their finances. Their whole philosophy is that everyone deserves to age well, and they really focus on supporting those who might be struggling.
That's great. What about aginginplace.org? They seem very specifically focused.
They are. It's a great source for free online info covering pretty much every angle of aging at home. Their goal is to connect people with the right tools.
And you mentioned their review process.
Yeah, it's quite thorough. They do hands-on testing, use reader surveys, talk to experts, get content medically reviewed. They seem really committed to providing reliable information.
And they had those interesting stats, too.
Right. The 77% wanting to age in place, but only 10% of homes being ready. And that stat about the return on investment for modifications, every $1 spent potentially saving $1.50 in medical costs later for those 75 plus. It really frames mods as a smart investment.
That really does put it in perspective. Okay, who else? The National Aging in Place Council, NAIPC.
Right, the NAIPC. Think of them more as a network. They connect service providers like contractors, healthcare providers, financial advisors with older homeowners and their families.
So finding the professionals you might need.
Exactly. They focus on practical advice. They have a blog, resources like a cost of aging handbook, and even a podcast that tackles some of the trickier conversations around aging and place planning.
Good to know. And last but not least, AARP.
Can't forget AARP. Their home fit guide is excellent. Really practical, hands-on advice for making a home safer and more comfortable, and honestly, it's useful for any age, not just seniors.
It really sounds like while it's a very personal journey, you definitely don't have to figure it all out alone. There's a lot of help available.
That's absolutely the main message here. We hope listeners feel empowered to maybe take that first step, assess your home, think about the future,
Yeah.
and then, explore these resources. Seniorliving.org, NCOA, NIA, aginginplace.org, NAIPC, AARP. They all offer something valuable. Find the ones that resonate with you in your situation.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, maybe here's something to think about. Considering everything we've discussed today, what's perhaps one small, manageable step you could take soon to make your home a little more age-friendly for the future? Or maybe which specific resource we mentioned seems like the best starting point for you to explore further? Something to mull over. Thanks for joining us.